This is not a comic book movie. This was intense, you guys. So today I went to the first showing of Joker, the first Showtime showing of Joker at the theater that I typically go to. There are a lot of showings they had today. And it's still on my brain right now, and it's been a few hours since I got out of the theater. So I feel like I'm going to have trouble getting my thoughts together. And it's hard to explain and try to explain it well exactly what I thought about this. It was very intense, and Joaquin did an excellent job, as I knew he would. It had this... Okay, so what happened is, there's going to be some slight spoilers in this. I don't have my thoughts together enough to avoid spoilers. So that's a warning about this. I'm going to try to avoid major spoilers, but there's going to be some stuff that just kind of comes into the conversation. The movie sets it up, or the movie is basically showing these things that happen to him, and you sympathize with this guy. It's very tragic, his life. And everything that can go wrong for him goes wrong for him. And he is very mistreated by many people in this film. And so you sympathize with him. You feel very bad for him and the things that he's going through. And it seems so unfair. And it starts off right off the bat. This is not him being a normal person that is beaten down into insanity. It starts off already letting you know that he has mental illness. He's pretty mentally ill. He can, function okay in society. He's got a job. He can interact with people, but he has a mental illness. And consequently, he is mistreated very often because of it. And so, yes, you feel bad for this guy. And, you see things that happen. You know where he's going. You know what's going to happen. By the time he gets there, it's a weird mixture of feeling sorry for him, being disgusted by the things that he's done, very disturbed by the things that he's done, and feeling sorry for him at the same time. It's a strange combination, and you see where things are headed. You know what's going to happen, and you wish you could intervene and stop him, intervene and help him. Not turn your back on him like so many other people in the movie did. He's just for much of the film, he's such a pitiful character. And you just want to help him. And it hurts to see the things that happen to him. And then he reaches a point where he has stepped over lines that are not okay. Yet you still feel bad for him in a lot of ways. It's weird. It's so weird. But it was very masterfully done. This film is also, as I've seen other people describe it, holding a mirror up to society. So basically, you have these two groups in the film. The rich people, the poor people, the haves and the have-nots. And they both have... Gotham City at this point in the movie, which looks like it takes place in the early 80s, Gotham City is at a point where things are bad. Tensions are bad. I guess, there's a lot of economic problems. There's governmental problems. And the haves and the have-nots, they hate each other. They can't stand each other. And so it's like this they're just a hair away from anarchy because of how things are just bubbling and boiling, just so much festering anger. And it seems very similar to the way things are going now. I mean, I do agree with one reviewer that I watched her review of, that it's like an examination of society today. The thing is, you know, I think this is something that just can exist in every society in the world. A lot of it is brought on by economic problems, and it causes all these ripple effect issues. You've got unemployment that happens, and then people get desperate a lot of times, and then they do desperately bad things. You have things like government not allocating their money towards areas that a lot of people feel they should be allocating their money towards, like mental health and things like that. And then you've got the collapse of that, the breakdown of that support system for people, and then they have no help, and then they can end up descending into this type of situation where they just completely lose it. Now, that's not to say that this is necessarily a condemnation of people with mental illness, that, you know, everybody who's mentally ill, or anyone who's mentally ill, is going to become this violent type of person. No, that's not the case. But the point is that, well, think about it. Anybody who has committed a horrendous crime in society, pretty much anybody, they all have either a history of abuse, or they're suffering from some type of mental illness. And so obviously the narrative to me seems to be, if these people could be provided the support and help that they often need, perhaps this would help to alleviate these pressures. It would help to avoid terrible things that can sometimes happen. So something that I also noticed during the course of the film, which also seems to definitely be present today, and I don't think it's just a today thing. It might feel like it's just a today thing, like as in these times, because society in a lot of ways seems to be so angry at each other. Like, people seem to be so angry at each other, and all this fighting, especially on the internet and social media. But something that I noticed about this film is that, you know, the poor people, the people who are struggling, and the hatred that they have for the rich people, they don't even know them. They just hate them in general because they're rich. So, you know, they're envious, which happens a lot of the times. Then you have the rich people who they kind of look down a lot of times on poor people, and they feel disgusted by them. And even though they don't know them, that's how they feel, because that's the impression that they're getting when they look at them. So you've got these two groups of people who just mutually hate each other. They don't even know each other, but they hate each other because one wants what the other has, and the other is disgusted at how low the other is. It's frustrating to see this, because, you know, if people would just be nicer to each other and more civil as human beings, a lot of problems in society would probably go away. And the fact is, people aren't always civil to each other. We're humans, and as humans, we can act bitchy a lot of times, and we can be rude, and we can be assholes to each other. But and you know, sometimes we all have our bad days, and we can be snappy with people, and we can have an attitude with people. But it's one thing to be that way, you know, to like just, you know, be a little bit of a butthole sometimes because, you know, whatever's going wrong in your life that particular day or whatever. But to avoid being, you know, I'm not saying that we all need to walk around and be perfect people, because that's not going to happen. We're all going to make our mistakes. But just to try to avoid being cruel to people. Don't be mean to people. Don't be cruel. Because number one, there goes my phone, it's not necessary to be that way. You know, I'm not talking about if someone's done something to you and you're basically trying to defend yourself. Let's say if someone's getting in your face, you're trying to defend yourself or whatever. But don't go out of your way to be cruel to people. And in so many cases in this movie, people are just downright cruel to this man. It's not necessary. He gets beaten up. and he's verbally abused, and it's awful to witness. It's uncomfortable to see this happening. And because you know where it's going to lead, you know he's going to lose you know what's going to happen to him. It makes it even worse to watch, because you see it could have all been avoided. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because everything that happens is pretty much a direct result of the things that happened to him in his life. His life starts off not great, and then it just spirals down, 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 until it gets to the final, parts of the movie. Now, I say this is not a comic book movie because it's not. It's not a Dark Knight or anything like that. It is more a psychological drama or character drama, and that's not typically my type of film. If this were not a Joker movie, I probably would not be interested to watch it. But because I know this is connected with comics, DC Comics, Batman, that's the draw for me. Now, some people might go into it, maybe they won't. But like if you've been paying attention, you will probably know, like I did, I knew going in what this was going to be, that this was going to be a character drama. It was going to show his descent into further, insanity, there's like over the edge insanity. But some people might go into it expecting that it's going to be action-packed. It's going to be like the comic books. It is not at all. There are some moments of violence, but it is not an action film. It is not a comic book type film, even though, yes, this is a comic book character, and the other characters in there are from the comics. It's not a comic book film. Just go into it expecting a character drama. Also, it's kind of I wouldn't necessarily say it's slow paced, because the pacing felt okay. But what it was really more like, think slow burn. It was a slow burn. It's like this underlying tension the whole time. Kind of like when you watched, or when I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I felt an underlying tension the whole time I was watching it, because I had an idea where it was going to lead to. I knew there was a connection to the Sharon Tate murders. So when you're watching this, you know it's going to lead to something very, very bad. And so as you're watching him on this journey, this 2-hour-long journey, and things aren't moving at breakneck speed, it's just showing, what's happening to him. You just feel that tension. You feel the tension from the moment it starts, because the moment it starts, I believe the opening scene of this is him laughing maniacally. And it's like, what? That's, what's going on? It's almost like a weird combination of hysterical laughter plus crying. That's kind of what it comes across as. And you're thinking, what is up with this? But then in the movie, there's a medical reason why he does this. It's because he has suffered, they don't make it entirely clear, but I'm thinking that it was probably a physical wound to his brain that has caused him, I can't remember the exact wording, there was this card he carries around where he would give to people when he's acting this way and he can't get himself under control. He'd give this card to people, and it says something on the card about, I have a mental disorder. I laugh even when it's not what I'm really feeling on the inside, or something like that, sort of, that he can give to people so they will be at ease when they're witnessing what he's doing. And sometimes his laughter, I know he works till 10. Yeah, because of Joker. Anyway, so this little card that he carries around and gives to people whenever he's having an episode is something to just sort of help them understand him. It doesn't seem like it really worked. The time that it showed him giving it to this woman on the bus. She didn't seem to be very understanding. She was quite ugly to him. He was, joking around with the little kid, and she was just mean to him. She was unnecessarily cruel to him. And he tries to be a good person. He tries to do things as he should, but everything falls apart in his life, and it's a disaster for him, the things that happen, and you know he's not going to be able to hold himself together, and that's difficult to watch. But anyway, it's a very, very sobering film, and I liked it quite a bit. I can tell that I liked it quite a bit. It really got under my skin because I'm still thinking about it, and I think I'm going to be thinking about it for a good long while. Like I'm still thinking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This one is similar in nature to that as far as how it is impacting me, but it's a totally different type of film, and it's so well done because they took this classic villain character and they made him someone who is sort of relatable to a certain degree. You can understand the feelings that he has, and let me tell you, a little bit of spoiler here, as I've said, the first murders that happen, they're pretty justified. It was self-defense, except the last person in that particular scene. He hunted him down, so at that point, you knew at that point, that was when the line was stepped over, pretty much. He hunted the guy down. He went after the guy. The guy was running away. He was no longer a threat to him, and he went after him and killed him. And so that was the point for him, that he took this very dark turn. It was already dark. It was already disturbed. But that was the point where it was like there was no going back after that. You knew that was just going to escalate things. And indeed it did. And the violence is pretty gory, but there's not a lot of it. So, you know, if that sort of thing bothers you, I hope that you don't let it stop you from going to see it, because it's not like it's a slasher film. It's not nonstop violence at all. There's a little bit of it in there, but not a lot. But what is in there is very brutal. It's in your face. It's not gratuitous, and it's not the most disgusting violence I've ever seen, but it is brutal, and it's raw, and it's shocking when it happens. So, I mean, when I say shocking, I don't necessarily mean that it surprises you that it happens. Just the brutality of it is shocking. And so, you know, I'm not really in agreement with the media hysteria that seems to be going on about this film. Oh, it's going to inspire people to do mass shootings, and no, I mean, I don't think so. No, I don't think it really takes, you know, people that do that sort of thing. It's not a movie that really made them do it. They were going to do it no matter what. Anyway, that's kind of a whole other subject matter, but I don't understand why wrong. I do understand why the media does what it does. They do it because they like to create hysteria and fear and everything, you know. So, but no, I don't think this movie is anything like that at all, and it also is not glorifying violence. It does not. And anybody who says that, I don't agree with that at all. It's just showing you the ramifications of the way society is, how it can affect people on an individual level, and how mental illness can have a profound effect on an individual and by extension on society. So, you know, it feels like, you know, you could look at this as being kind of preachy. And in some ways, maybe it was. But at the same time, it's not like it's not true. You know, people are awful to each other, and bad things happen as a result of that. You know, it's not an excuse. It doesn't justify what someone has done. Really nothing much that he did in here, with the exception of the first murders that happened. It's not acceptable. It's not justifiable. It's not okay. But the way he was treated and the things that happened to him and the fact that he couldn't get the help that he needed, those are reasons why this happened. So some people don't, sometimes it's hard to differentiate the difference between the two, but there is a difference. These things happened because all these terrible things happened to him and everything fell apart for him. He couldn't get what he needed. And so he snapped, basically. Not a justification at all. So, but I think maybe one thing that might be disturbing people who might criticize this, whether it's the media or some of the official critics or whatever, is just probably the fact that this movie is presenting him as a victim, which he was in a lot of ways, and also as a sympathetic character. I don't think it's necessarily a bad or negative thing to try to understand what goes on with a person that leads them to do awful things in society, or to do awful things to other people. And yeah, I'm rambling, but I'm kind of, like I said, I'm still processing it. This film was intense, you guys. It was intense. And for me, it's probably not the type of film that I will, watch repeatedly, like The Dark Knight. I've watched that so many times I've lost count. That's such a wonderful movie. But I do encourage everybody to at least give it one viewing. It's worth at least that much. It's uncomfortable subject matter. It's not the type of thing I would typically gravitate towards, as I indicated already. But it does have a pretty important narrative that I think is beneficial for all of us to pay attention to at least a little bit, think about it at least a little bit, and maybe it's something that we can take to heart for ourselves and how we interact with others, and try to inject a bit more kindness, towards others in our own life, and do that one little bit that we can do to try to make society a better place, to try to make the world a better place. This sounds like a bunch of, tree hugging type narrative, but it's just basic common sense. It really is. And that's not a narrative that belongs to any one particular group of people over another. It's just important for us to all try to be nicer to each other, create a kinder world, so that people who are the most vulnerable among us can have the help that they need when they need it. And I think that's probably about all I can think of to say. I know as soon as I stop recording, I'm going to think of something else and I'm going to kick myself. But I'm sorry if this was so rambly, but this was such an intense film. I just can't get it out of my head. But also, I think this is a good film to talk about, and I would really love to hear your thoughts on this movie whenever you get a chance to see it. I really do highly recommend that people watch it at least once, as I've said already. I tend to repeat myself. I also liked how they wove in his connection with the Wayne family. There's some open-ended stuff with regard to that. I mean, that was the impression I was left with. Some questions that weren't completely answered. You could take it either way. Some people that I felt like, well, someone was not being honest with him when he went to them with questions. Mm-hmm. No, he worked a long day today. I'm filming.
Oh.
And it's still going, so go back upstairs so I can finish. Huh?
Hi, YouTube.
So when he would go to people for answers about questions he had regarding his past, or, I mean, I guess that's the way to put it. Anyway, whatever. When he went to them with questions, one of the people, one of them was lying to him. He was getting two different stories. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is. Unless something completely went over my head, you could take it either way. You could take it that this was the situation or this was the situation, because both of them, both situations were entirely feasible, and you guys will know it when you get to it. I know I'm letting some spoilers through, but I'm trying not to let too many, because I don't want, but I mean, I don't know. If this has any sort of rough correlation with a graphic novel that has come out, then it's possible you guys will know what I'm talking about. I don't know. Grace Randolph from Behind the Trailer mentioned something about the scene with the talk show at the end, and how there are some similarities with that and some talk show appearance that Joker made in one of the Dark Knight graphic novels. She said it's not exactly the same. They're just elements of it in the scene here in this particular movie. I have not read that graphic novel. I think I have it, but I haven't read it yet. So I don't know how much is the same and how much is different. Another thing that I felt was kind of sad about him was that in the beginning he's just you can tell he's very unhappy. He has mental issues, you know, he can't fit in with society like normal people do. He tries to be good, and he tries to do things that people do when they live their regular life, but by the end of the movie he has fully embraced his Joker persona. That doesn't happen until the end, though. Like, you see as events, you know, are going out, and he's moving as events are going on. I mean, he's moving closer and closer to that. But the actual Joker himself, as far as with the full makeup and the costume and everything, that part of him does not show up until the very end. So don't expect that Joker's going to be around from the beginning. This is his evolution into Joker. So that part is reserved for like maybe the last 15 or 20 minutes. Which, you know, it was not surprising or anything. I didn't go in there expecting that Joker was going to show up right away or even halfway through. So, but just in case anybody did, because of the trailers, you know, how they show him in his makeup and everything, you might think that he's going to be in that, you know, he's going to be that way for a good portion of the film, but that is not the case. And something else that was also just some of the scenes where he is just having such a hard time in his interactions with people, or he's trying to do something that he very much wants to do, but things go horribly wrong for him. It's so painful to watch that, you guys. You just feel so badly for this guy. And, you know, it's just so sad and pathetic, really. This poor character. I mean, I don't know. It's just, there's really no other way to describe it except for sad. Just you feel for this guy. You hurt for him because you see how much he's hurting, and his disability, his illness, is this constant issue for him and preventing him from doing what he wants to do. And it's sad. And at some point, the very first thing that the very first killings that happen, it inadvertently has the effect of like making the public sort of group together to this cause, you know, this narrative and this idea that they have, you know, kind of like fighting the system. You know, they see it that way when this happens. And he didn't, you know, like I said, he didn't intend for it to be that way, because the first killings, they were an act of self-defense for the most part. But then he started to see that galvanized the public to his side, even though they didn't know who he was, that he was just this masked, you know, this clown fella. And it, you know, like I said, it galvanized the public and all the support that he was getting from, you know, the lesser people and the people that were wanting to go and, you know, riot in the streets against the establishment and all that sort of thing. And you can see that he really, he's digging that. He likes that people are sort of seeing things his way, sort of, kind of. And as the film goes on and this builds more and more, by the end of the film, he's completely reveling in it. And you know, obviously by that point, his transformation is complete. He is the Joker. And it's just kind of, it's an interesting metamorphosis to watch on the screen. And Joaquin did an excellent job. I can't say it enough. I mean, I know I've already said it, but he was so good in this film, you guys. Really, it's worth going to watch it just for him, at least, especially if you're a fan of his. If you're a fan of DC Comics, a fan of Joker, Batman, whatever, you should go see this film as well. And yeah, so I guess I can't think of anything else to add. I've just gone all over the place. I tried to be a little bit coherent and organized, but I think I have failed miserably at that. It's just very hard for me to put my thoughts into a good narrative as I'm sitting here thinking about it and still processing what I saw. I probably should have written down my thoughts, but you know, I just don't really have the time to do that, and I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk with someone who's seen it. So anyway, I think that is it for now, you guys. I'm going to wrap this up, and we'll talk with you later. Bye.